What's up, guys? So as you guys already know, the GTX 10 series has been out for a couple of years right now, and with the prices being really high and the halting of the production of GP102, we can infer that the next series is coming out in the imminent future. But how will this new card perform? When will they come out? How much will they cost? And most importantly, should you buy any of these new cards? First, let's take a look at its expected performance. Well, these new cards are expected to get a nice upgrade to GDDR6 memory at speeds of 16 gigabits per second or 18 gigabits per second, and this memory will be manufactured by Samsung. Also, these new cards that are codenamed Ampere are thought to be produced in a 12nm architecture. So, what real world upgrade will these improvements bring? Well, it's really hard to say now because we don't really know anything about what Nvidia is developing and how much they're willing to give us. So far, I think it is pretty clear that they won't give us Volta with Ampere, and this will simply be a Pascal refresh, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, as long as the performance is still good. So what are some good estimates? I think that the best way to predict the future is to actually look at the past generational gaps. So last generation, we saw that the 1060 was just about equal in performance with the GTX 980, and the 1070 was just about equal to the 980 Ti. If we go down a little bit further, we can see that the 1050 was equal to 960. In my opinion, those were some pretty significant upgrades. One of the top-end 900 series cards was literally equal to only the mid-level of the 1000 series, so it was really quite nice. So, based off that, the GTX 2060 and 1080 being equal is really not that far off. So if that's true, then the 2070 and 1080 Ti should be equal, and so on and so forth. So hopefully this is what happens. But if anything, the 2070 should at least be as powerful as the 1080, or else it's really quite meaningless, like the 1070 Ti. How much performance do you think these cards will bring? Make sure to post what you guys are thinking. Anyways, moving on to release date of these cards, rumors suggest that Nvidia will be revealing these new series at the end of March at GTC and release the 2070 and 2080 along with Turing on April 12th. While we haven't really had any solid proof for this, the fact that Nvidia stopped the production of GP102 strongly alludes that there is a new series of GPUs coming out very soon. So, if anything, we should be able to get our hands on a 2070 and 2080 by at least the end of May. So, what about the GTX 2060 and 2050? Well, unfortunately, I don't think those will come out until later this year, as in third or fourth quarter. It'll probably be out before holiday season though, because Nvidia knows that they can make a lot of money then. Next, finally, the flagship GTX 2080 Ti probably won't come out till the end of this year or even next year. So obviously, there's going to be some waiting if you are interested in some of these cards. But there is no reason to wait for them if the price is too high. So how much will these GPUs actually cost? Well, there has been this crazy rumor that the 2080 will cost a whopping $1,500, which is even more than current, very overpriced GTX 1080 Ti's. Is this really going to be the case? Well, in my opinion, definitely not. And here is why. Because it simply makes no sense. I know that Nvidia is a corporation and they want to make as much money as possible, but it really makes no sense for them to do this. Miners will not be interested in these cards because Nvidia is planning a separate series for them called Turing, so they will not really affect this. So Nvidia would just create a lot of hate for themselves if they made a move like that, and receive a lot of backlash from gamers, and so in the end they wouldn't really sell too much because only some rich gamers would be able to afford these. If you guys think that Nvidia will price it that high because the current graphics cards would be more expensive if they didn't, but then that also doesn't really make too much sense because Nvidia doesn't care anymore about previous generation GPUs. They already stopped production of GP102 a while ago, so they are really not making any money from the 10 series anymore, because Nvidia has probably already sold their cards to retailers or aftermarket GPU manufacturers, so the price disparity will really not be their problem. Also, Nvidia would make much more money if they offered their upcoming cards at a reasonable price, because there is also a lot of gamers who have been waiting for months to be able to purchase a GPU because they simply refuse to overpay or they just can't afford it. And as a result, Nvidia has a huge market that is willing to snatch these GPUs when they can. But like I said, they won't pay anything more than what the MSRP should be. So Nvidia would be losing out on a lot of average gamers, and the average gamer is who makes up the most of their income, so I doubt Nvidia would purposely avoid them and be greedy and try to make more money of each card while targeting a much smaller demographic. So, does that mean that these new GPUs will release for the same MSRP as its predecessor? Well, the answer to that question is unfortunately not. Nvidia simply has no control over this aspect. It is well known that RAM is very overpriced right now, and of course graphics cards need RAM, and as a result, the overpriced RAM will carry into GPUs also being overpriced. And of course, there is still a lot of demand. But this wouldn't lead to GPUs doubling in price like what is happening right now, because that demand would greatly be reduced by miners being taken out of the picture. So we can expect something similar to what happened with the 8700K. So overall, I think that GPUs will be about $200 over MSRP. The GTX 1080 MSRP was $600, and if we assume that 2080 is the same way, then I expect that the graphics card will be about $800 at least shortly after release. But I think it'll go down $100 after the initial high demand dies down. And finally, after RAM prices slowly return to normal and stabilize in the second half of this year, I expect that GPUs will return to MSRP. So here's the big picture. I believe at the release of these graphics cards, they will be about $200 over MSRP, but 1 to 2 months later, it will drop by $100. Finally, in the third or fourth quarter of this year, prices should finally return to MSRP. So that's what I'm thinking about the pricing situation. But should you buy this? Well, straight up, I strongly believe that if you're in the market for a GPU, then you should definitely consider being patient and just wait for the next series instead of buying a 10 series GPU, because I really think that it will be worth the wait. As a result, I know you guys have been waiting for a really long time, but seriously, just push a bit further and it would be worth it. You might even be able to afford a higher level GPU by waiting and saving. So please just wait a little bit longer. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys this time. Make sure to post what you guys are thinking about this. Like, when do you guys think these graphics cards will come out, and what do you think they will be priced? I did read all my comments and I am curious as to what you guys think, so make sure to post your thoughts. Also, make sure to drop a like on this video if you guys found it informative, and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you would like to see more videos like this. But until next time, bye.